Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having Dakasan back on with us. I'm excited to hear more of his stories. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying these podcasts? Then make sure you go visit our website. That's the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Go check us out, see what we're all about. A big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go check them out. Even if you do, check them out again. They're always putting new stuff out, and it truly is an amazing organization. One of the new things that we got going on, the Marine Corps League now has VSOs, those veteran service officers. You can go find that specific thing out at mcleague.org. And then search the VSO locator. That'll help you. Or you can always dial the number 703-207-9588 extension 299. And that will put you in contact with one of the VSOs that can help you out. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps veteran service organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. We are back, man. I'm excited. We got Robin DeLeon back. He's been on his world tour. He's been going everywhere. It's good to have you back. How you been doing?
Oh, enjoying life. Like I said, this retired life is awesome. What I haven't done yet in retirement is find my purpose.
Yeah.
You replace my dad. You replace your job with the new job when you retire. My mother made him go to church. Not that he wasn't going to church, but made him go to church to join the prison ministry.
Oh, okay.
So then he would go to prison every Wednesday and be part of that ministry to the guys in there. And on more than one occasion, the guys, when they get out, would bump into him and be like, "Man, you made such a difference in my life. I want to thank you, you know?"
Yeah.
And so that was a very positive thing he did in retirement. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm vacationing too much right now. So
that's okay. You got to get those vacations in. It's important.
Yeah. Well, for people that are transitioning, there's your lifespan and your health span.
Mm-hmm.
You got to spend your money while you have health. Because there's the go-go phase, I'm in it now, the slow-go phase, and the no-go phase. It doesn't matter if you have money in the no-go phase because, so figure out what you're inheriting down line, figuring out what you worked all those years and sacrificed for, and spend it in your go-go phase. And, so I'm still in go-go phase.
That's a good way of saying it. I really like that.
Yeah, well, I've paid attention to people and their advice about that retirement transition. And the last piece of it is finding your purpose.
Right.
And so
important.
Working on that piece of it. My wife is fully immersed in her faith, and she goes to the temple all the time and does all kinds of things for people that have passed away. That's part of her faith, is that if you didn't do it on earth, it needs to be done. So she'll do it for you, and then you can accept it in heaven and move on. So for all these people, she's LDS, I'm Catholic. It works because we're not having kids at the moment. On Sunday. So, but I just go and I pull weeds at the church every once in a while. That's what I've done so far, but I'm still working on the purpose, job, and retirement. So let's get to stories. All right.
Okay. Well, I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm ready to hear some more.
We got to 2007 in my New York deployment with the New York Guard and being part of that ER primary care stuff.
Right.
came from that deployment and did the same thing. Okay, in 2 years, I want to choose where I'm going, when I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And so contacted Branch, said, okay, what do you have in the summer of 2009? Again, summers seem to work because, the kids are out of school. My ex can take care of the kids on her own. You have to juggle things because the kids aren't in
Right.
the activities as such. And by this point, we just have the teenager in the house.
Mm-hmm.
The other two have launched. So 2009, I pick up the tour to Afghanistan, my first Afghan tour. When I got there, it was the Illinois Guard, and then they were replaced by the Georgia Guard.
Okay.
So, but the providers kind of all came about the same time. And when I arrived, they said, "You're in charge." And I was like, "Why?" Because you're a lieutenant colonel. I'm like, and then
Nice.
a full bird showed up, and I went, look, a full bird's here. He can be in charge. And he's like, no, we already told you you're in charge. So you're in charge over this. And the mission changed.
Uh-huh.
Before they had an election right as we were arriving. So the mission changed, but the tasking for providers remained as if it hadn't changed. So a lot of providers were supposed to go out and things, but instead they held them all at our base at Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a echelon 2 or role 2 clinic, so a medical company. So lab, dental, x-ray, mental health, patient hold, right? And the level 3, the hospital was at Bagram, and then they have all these satellite aid stations at all these different bases. So
Right.
I had a clinic big enough to have 3 providers working at a time, and I had 9 providers.
Wow, that's pretty good.
3 on in the morning, 3 on in the afternoon, and 3 off every day. And we just rotated. So you had 2 half days and a day off. But everybody kind of hung around the clinic anyway.
Right.
So that's how I organized it. And one of the things was the outgoing doc would do these weekly meals with the general and the shopkeepers. So on our base, there was a row of shops.
I see.
Local Afghans that were cleared that could sell their wares.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the shops was a rug shop. And the guy there would host the general every week and his staff to a lunch. And so I started going to that because the last doc was going. So he invited me and I started going. And the general had part of his safety detail, right? Was this sergeant who, if you were Mother Teresa or you were Pope Leo or you were Mahatma Gandhi, you would still call him effing Kenny, because that was his name. That general called him that. His wife called him that. His wife was a Catholic. That was just his name. He was a Chicagoan, and a true Chicagoan. Like, hey, we solve things. If we have a disagreement, I'll just open my knife, set it on the table, and say, "We understand each other now."
Yeah, right.
So he should tell stories. If I could ever get on, I'll tell him, call up and tell his stories. He was hilarious. He was an awesome guy. Just a great guy to be around and talk to. When I one of the things I did was when I was coming inbound, you land in Bagram, and before I got sent downrange, I went by the hospital and I talked to the orthopedic surgeons, because if you got back pain, you're basically going to the orthopedic surgeons. And
Right.
at this time in the war, 2006 through 2011-ish time frame, back pain was the number one reason somebody was medevac home.
Really?
It was not
Wow.
war wounds, it was back pain. And I was a back pain specialist. And
I
I
could see
did,
that though.
I did spine injections and stuff like that. I did muscle injections. You know, I
Right.
could guide you in some physical therapy stretches and stuff like that, and some exercises. So I went to the orthopedic surgeons and I said, "Hey, I'm going downrange to Phoenix, but I can come up here every month and stay for a few days and have everybody in theater who has somebody with back pain, they can send them up here and I will see everybody in theater and treat their back pain. Are you okay with that? The non-surgical back pain?" And they're like, "Yeah, you want to take our business?" So I went to neurology and I did the same thing. And I said, for those guys with the nerve irritations, the radiculopathies, the sciatica, would you let me treat them? And they're like, "Yeah, sure. You want to take our business?" So the key was radiology. So I went to radiology because I would need their machines and their tech. And I'm
Right.
like, "Hey, would you?" I got the orthopedic and neurology, the guys that treat the back pain here before they say, "Screw it, send them back home." If I see them and they need an injection or something, would you support me in doing an injection? And they
Right.
said, "Sounds good to us. We don't mind." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay, cool." So I would come up one day. The second day, I would see everybody in pain. The third day, I would do the injections. And the fourth day, I
Mm.
would go home.
Okay.
So to be like a 4 or 5 day trip every month, but I'm going to be here for a few months. And at least while I'm here, I could make a difference on this problem, which is having an effect across theater.
Mhm.
And so it went up the flagpole to get it all approved. And the head nurse said, "Well, what happens when you leave? Then we can't do it anymore." And I'm like, "Yes, that is a true statement. But at least while I'm here, I could come up and for the next 3 months, we could make this happen." She's like, "Well, if we can't sustain it, I don't want to support it. So you would need my nursing support. So no."
What?
And yeah, and that idea went right then and there. And I was like, "Okay, thank you."
Wow.
I was willing to sacrifice. And then I get down to my base, and the base had, if you think of a mall,
Mhm.
and you go through to get into the parking lot, you go through security.
Right.
And now you go into the mall building, you go through security. And then you're wandering down the hallways fine, but when you go into a store, you go through their security. That's how Phoenix was set up. So you
Okay.
leave your area, the American area, go out, walk down the street, and then go into the Italian area and go through their security to go
Uh,
hang out with them, or the embassy. You would go and go through security and go go on to the embassy.
that's
And
interesting.
the interesting thing about going to the embassy, which I went to regularly, was that the moment you went through, the air was cleaner. Yes. They had water sprinklers. They had a taco truck. They had really nice buildings.
Nice.
So yeah, so Miss Clinton was living large at that time.
Yeah.
It was really, and they had a little clinic there that saw the embassy personnel and the contract.
Mhm.
Ended up making friends with them and would go there on a regular basis and teach classes and see patients, and stuff like that. And there was this one contractor who very athletic guy, works out in the gym all the time, and he hurt his wrist lifting.
Okay.
They have their own X-ray, so they got the X-ray. They told me about him. I came in, I examined him, I looked at the X-ray. Now, the soldiers or any of the service members, you get there on February 28th. The entire month of February is tax-free. All right.
Right. Okay.
So every month you're in there, that's a tax-free month. Right. The contractors get a year contract and they get the whole year tax-free if they can complete 300 of the 360 days in theater. So if they do 10 months, they get the whole year tax-free. But if they only make 9 months, they pay taxes on all the 9 months.
Oh, wow.
You have to make 10 months.
Huh.
So this guy's bone here was dying. It's a stress reaction called Kienbach's disease. The bone, if you don't do something and you don't have the orthopedic surgeon handle it, you end up with chronic wrist pain for the rest of your life.
Oh, wow.
All right, because the bone dies. And then it just collapses and, so it's a serious thing. And depending upon what your contract says, dictates what kind of care you can get in theater. So some people have everything. I happen to be a veteran. I served my 20 years in the Marines. I'm here as a contractor. I have TRICARE. I get Cadillac service everywhere I go.
Right.
Some guys are, hey, I have emergency care only. If I'm dying, you save my life. Everything else I have to go home for.
Holy cow.
Blood pressure pills. Some people have primary health care and emergency care, but not specialty care. So if you're dying, yes, we'll save you. Everybody kind of gets that. But if you just need a blood pressure refill, no problem. But you need to start seeing specialists and surgeons, you got to go home. So this guy was in that case where you have to go home to get your surgery. If you go home, you're going to be home for a while. Can you get back? Will it screw up your year? And he's like, I don't want to leave because I'm going to lose all this money. And I'm like, well, you're going to be screwed. And I can't send you home. You're a contractor. That's between you and your boss, not me. And he can do his physical job. He just works at the gym on the side. So this doesn't affect his job. But you're like, is it worth the $20,000, $30,000 you're saving to not have chronic wrist pain for the rest of your life? That's up to you. I can't send you home. I can only tell you what it is, but it's kind of a sucky deal for him to have to make that choice. Let's see. All right. Well, I told you about the x-rays at Eggers, right? So I told you about the finger x-rays before. Well, we've had that issue where the bases that were aid stations would send us people. And if we look in the computer, we can't see that base. Even though they're on the same computer system, it's like a closed system, but it uploads to the states every day, but we can't see it. So if we're on my base, I can't see what's happening at their base. So we'll have to rely on the soldier and any paperwork that shows up. So that's how we ended up with this finger incident and other incidents like this. And there was always that feel that, Phoenix doesn't care about the little bases out there. And that's not true. We just don't have a good communication. And there is a backdoor way that I can go online and get into the system back in the States. So the information that's in that base that's uploaded and goes to States, I can tap into that so I can see the other bases.
Okay.
But I need that authority from Bagram.
Okay.
IT guys. So I decided to do a site visit to Bagram. And so I go there. I take two of my PAs. No, it was two PAs. Yeah, it was two PAs. I'm trying to remember. Captain Talarico, and I'm trying to think if I brought the lieutenant Air Force guy or the orthopedic PA Captain. Oh, I think it was his name. It was either Johnson or Cole. Either way, I think it was the orthopedic guy. And we go to Bagram. And so now we're at the hospital. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go to the TOC. I'm not going to just wander around the base.
Right.
I went by the IT guys first, and I talked to them, and I got the access.
Okay.
And then I went by the TOC to say, hey, I'm here. Just wanted to, face to face. We're the guys down at Phoenix. We send you business. Just want to get that open lines of communication. And so the NCOIC at the top was like, oh, well, you need to speak to Colonel Steele. All right. He's the deputy commander. I'm like, okay. So we're waiting there. They call Colonel Steele. He comes up and, he stands in front of me. I'm like, hi, I'm Doc DeLeon from Camp Visa. Put my hand out to shake. And, we're from there. We thought we'd come up and say hi and establish some communication and stuff. And he just stands there looking at me, does not return the shake. Just looks at me with this gruff face.
Wow.
For 30 seconds. An awkwardly uncomfortable long time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden he says, come with me. And we follow him to his office. And he starts grilling me about, should a PA at this local base here, should she have to do all these reports or whatever? And I have no idea what he's talking about, but that's a task force surgeon question. I just run a clinic. That guy's office is next door to mine, but he has nothing to do with my clinic. And he's doing ops things, and you're asking an ops question.
Right.
And so he's asking this all gruff, and I'm like, no, I guess you shouldn't. But behind him, on the grease board behind him, says X-ray at Eggers. So he has heard about the fingers. Oh my goodness. So then he starts saying, and I heard about this X-ray at Eggers, and I said, sir, stop. I've already addressed this. The soldier who's responsible has been held responsible by the chain of command. I have reached out to Eggers. I go there on a weekly basis or whatever, and I take care. I do sports medicine there. I take care of them. I go out there regularly. We're friends now. Everything's cool. And he was like, okay. And he's like, would you like access to this? And would you like access to this? And he gave me access to his computer system.
Nice.
So I could contact up to his computers online directly. And so I could get reports or whatever, about anything we send up there or, whatever. So I got this carte blanche access from this ruffy guy. It's I calmed him down about this X-ray stuff. So, and, we have to call, and they had an evac system where I had to call him directly and he would launch the evac because he could see the weather reports, how many evacs are going on, and whether he has resources. So
right. Okay.
Prioritize all the missions. So you call him and say, I got a medevac request. But I had a medical case and I can't remember what it was. I called up there. I talked to the medicine doc in the ICU. And I said, I just want to give you a heads up that I'm going to call in this medevac request. And this is the case. I want to make sure I give a warm handle so he's coming. He says, okay, if he comes here, now I know. If he doesn't come here, he doesn't come here. And then I called the doc and said, hey, this is this case, whatever. And, he got a little upset that I talked to the medicine doc first. I was like, I'm just trying to do a warm handoff so the soldier gets continuous care and no drop here. But, and I understand you're the decider on everything. So I'm talking to you. But in the end, he never denied a medevac request. He always had enough resources to make it happen. His ego just needed me to talk to him first.
Okay.
So
that happens. Yeah.
It happens. Okay. Not a big deal. Sorry about the beat. I'm gonna turn
you're fine. You're fine.
Shut up mode. All right. So and I told you about the captain with the intestinal worms. I told that story.
Yeah.
All right. And the reason I could see the CT scans was because that colonel gave me access. So when I went to find out about her, I was able to log into the system, see the CT scan report, and then call everybody. So that's how I got that access. The second soldier I lost one back in 2005 from the rollover accident. We had this one soldier who came in for one thing and got better, got treated, came in a second time for something completely different, got the $1 million workup, everything looked okay, got treated, seemed better, and then came back a few days later with her leg swollen. And it was like evac time. And so we sent her to Bagram and ended up dying in the ER there.
Whoa.
That was my second loss. I did not see her any of the 3 times, but it's my clinic.
Right.
I'm overseeing all the providers. And we're doing weekly, like I had a weekly class for the medics. And we trained them on whatever, and I would have the different providers maybe teach something, so they would get, and then we had a weekly training of us, and we made pull a case that somebody had that week, and how did you find it out and whatever. And so we were doing this education, and interestingly, somebody from Theater Command came down and was going to all of the bases and trying to figure out, how do we do quality assurance? If we have to get a bad provider at some place, how do we find out? How do we double check that? Because we have a lot of providers turning over. And the answer is really, if you're a standalone aid station, unless the medics see something egregious, nobody's going to know.
Right.
It just is. And if they get their records, maybe they can review the records and go, wow, that seems quirky, and then come down and look at it. So you basically have to wait for a bad outcome. So they had come to our base, and we talked about how I'm doing this training week. We're not officially reviewing each other's charts and formally doing a program, but we're doing this weekly provider education. We're doing this weekly medic education. So we had the best education system in theater. And then this happens, and coincidental to this is the outgoing task force surgeon that told me I was in charge. He was doing a handoff to the incoming task force surgeon, who was a nurse with an ego. And there's basically not much for you to do as a task force surgeon. The docs are assigned. You don't have anything to do with the healthcare unless you're a provider and you want to set something up over the whole theater of responsibility on how you double check people.
Right.
If you're not a provider, you don't have that role. It's something that a provider has to do. Well, the two of them, he was a light colonel, she was a full bird, got into pissing contests. And so she pissed about everything. And then she took that out on us.
Oh, geez.
And I had to protect my team from her. And then after we lost this soldier, two things happened. One was um, we had what we call an M&M, morbidity mortality, something I learned from surgeries. So surgeons, when they have a bad outcome, they get a conference together of all the surgeons in the hospital, and they just go over the case. It's not a finger pointing, it's a what happened.
Mm-hmm. It's like a
Let's
review.
where the mistake was made, and let's not let that happen again, whether it was a system, whether it was a decision, whatever. We're not here to hang anybody out to dry. We're here to learn what might have happened
Mm-hmm.
so that we can avoid this in the future. It's called an M&M, morbidity
Mm-hmm.
mortality review. So I was doing that with my team, saying, hey, I'm not here to point fingers. I'm just trying to figure out what is, what can we learn from this? All right. And right as we were starting that, this colonel shows up, gets right into the middle of our thing and starts attacking everybody and making all these accusations about whatever. She found a piece of paper about something, whatever, and she had heard something or what, and she just started making all this stupid stuff that had nothing to do with anything. But it caused my team to all go, we're just going to sit here and not say a word because this lady's crazy, and we say anything and she is going to hang somebody.
Yeah.
And then right after that, obviously, bad outcome. The investigators come to look at, hey, they're doing a formal investigation. The soldier's life
Right.
was lost. You know, is there true malpractice going on or whatever? And it was this, I think it was the same guy that like 2 weeks earlier told us we've got the best system in theater.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coincidental that, we lost this one soldier. I carry her name with me to the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel horrible about it. And even that evening when her unit found out, one of her soldiers went ballistic and was down there at my clinic screaming, you guys screw up, whatever, who's responsible? And I'm running in front of him. I am responsible. This is my clinic. I am responsible. You hold me responsible. This is my team.
Wow.
I could understand his emotions, and if he needs to take it out on somebody. I
Yeah.
think the chaplain was there, and the chaplain kind of diffused him and took him back. But I had to take. It's my team, so it's my
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. I don't. And I looked at it, and I couldn't find anything that was done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So each part of it was looked at very hard by me, but this guy came and he's supposed to talk to us, look at the chart, kind of figure out. And that colonel grabbed him and spent 2 hours with him talking in a room, telling all kinds of whatever, and never let him come out and talk to us. So
What?
when the 2 hours were up, he had to leave. And I was like, well, okay. I like knocked on the door. Hey, aren't you going to talk to my team? Don't you want to talk to us? And she told me to beat sand because, she had to tell him her opinion, but her opinion was meaningless. And so I don't know of anything that came of it, but I kept asking him, please tell us what happened. We'd love to know. We need to know because when
Yeah.
you're a fighter and you lose somebody, that's heavy on you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So just like a squad leader in a firefight, you lose somebody. What did I miss? Did I not see an indicator? What
Right.
was it that got my guy killed?
Mm-hmm.
Did I not react the way I should have? Should I have done something different? That's going to
Right.
haunt you for the rest of your life. What you could have done different. And so my
Mm-hmm.
team is so different. And so we want to know what the actual cause of death was.
Mm-hmm.
My suspicion is She got a blood clot in her leg. It went to her lung, and she had a pulmonary embolism, and it was unrelated to her other stuff. It just happened,
Yeah.
and and that's what killed her. But we never got the answer. So
you never found out 100% what it was.
No.
Wow.
A lot of ER notes are handwritten and then whatever. So we never found out. But it was, like I said, very emotional for
Yeah.
the team and I. To change gears, we had this captain on the base. I don't know who he worked for, but like I said, we're inside of this multi-complex whatever. We haven't had an attack, and I don't know when. But this guy wore his full body armor everywhere.
Wow.
Everywhere, except the gym. But I had to think about it, and I said, if I promised my spouse I'm coming home,
yeah,
the flukiest thing could happen, and if I die because I wasn't wearing it, where I would have been saved had I been wearing it, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear it. Full battle, no matter what. So he wore it. God bless him. He was a man of conviction. I respect that.
Yeah.
So, but it was just an odd duck because nobody else was.
Yeah.
But, you see the guy, but it's like, okay, you got your belief system and you stick to your belief system. You are going home. I respect you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow.
And then the third guy I lost was a master sergeant who was at some other base and didn't wait for the regular convoys to go through, but some Brits were like, hey, we're leaving, we'll take you. And so he jumped in their vehicle, but theirs was an up arm. It was just like Toyota Land Cruiser or something.
Oh, right.
A TLC. And a V-bid drove up next to him and boom.
Oof.
Took him out. And so they brought him, and I had to pronounce him.
Oh.
So I had to do the official, yes, they bring me this guy. He's clearly dead, but I had to sit there and listen to him, do all the signs of life checks and stuff. And it had been an hour already, and he was lost. Several years later, I don't know if you've ever run into the traveling wall, the Vietnam veteran wall.
Yeah.
The traveling wall. Well, they came to Boise the first time, and they set up, and it was wonderful. And I volunteered to assist. My motorcycle groups and I, we volunteered and stuff. Here's my motorcycle group, CVMA, Combat Vets Motorcycle Association.
Nice.
So give them a shout out. But on the side, they had other panels for like the Korean War, World War II, and they had one for the War on Terror. And similar to the Vietnam Wall, they had the names and the branch in chronological order of death.
Oh, wow.
On these panels. And they had them as a dog tag. It's like a gold dog tag with the name engraved, just one after the other. Same system as the Vietnam Wall. So I was able to find all my three.
Wow.
Over my, the two in 2009 and the one in 2005.
Yeah.
So I'll carry those with me. It's interesting. One from a accident, one medical, and one combat. The three ways to die in theater. I got one of each. Not that I wanted any, but I got one of each.
Yeah.
I told you about going to the different bases and doing these sports clinics.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the bases was a Army French base that was an ANA training base.
Okay.
And so the French would have their day when they would have cheese, bread, and soft drinks.
Nice.
They also had German contractors there that were training, and the Germans decided to do one of the German marksmanship badge. This was a pure marksmanship, not the one where you do all these different soldier activities and stuff. But this is a marksmanship badge, and they have 5 targets in a row.
Right.
Bullseye is 10 points. Center mass is 8. Anywhere on the target is 5. If you miss, you miss. And between the second and third, they have the black diamond innocent bystander. You hit the bystander, it's -10.
Okay.
You have, 30 rounds per weapon, and you have 2 weapons. You shoot their pistol, their rifle.
Okay.
For the rifle, you stand at 20 meters, you shoot 15 rounds, then you move up to 10 meters, you shoot 15 rounds. And with the pistol, you stand at 10 meters, shoot 15 rounds, and then you go to 5 meters and shoot 15 rounds.
Okay.
And you shoot in 5-round bursts. So they say go, and you got 5 rounds to shoot, and they give you 8 seconds to shoot 5 rounds.
Okay.
And they go, and they give you 6 seconds to shoot 5 rounds. Then they go. They give you 4 seconds to shoot 5 rounds.
Oh, wow.
And then you move closer, and then they go, and you have 6 seconds, 4 seconds, and 3 seconds each to shoot.
Holy cow.
And
wow.
You have to score 150 or above on both weapons.
Okay.
If you qualify with both weapons, whichever is the lower qualification, that's your overall score, your overall earning. So 150 is bronze, 200 is silver, 250 is gold.
Okay.
300 is max, gold still. So I shot like 212 or something with the pistol and 180 something with the rifle. So I got bronze thing here. All right, I gotta get it down. Or I can just do this. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Marksmanship badge that the enlisted in Germany wear it on their uniform.
Oh,
like
okay.
Infantry, thing. But their officers don't. And the Americans that earn it follow the German custom. So I don't wear it. But it's in my office.
That's pretty cool.
So
not everybody could say they have something like that.
It was funny because the first time I tried, you're like 8 seconds to shoot 5 rounds, and you're so used to that, 2 to 3 seconds per target on our thing, sight, boom, hit, it goes down, then you're waiting for the next one, get your sights, boom. And I get that, 8 seconds is like, oh my God. And you're trying to sight with this thing. And I just scored 63 the first time I tried on the rifle. And then they're like, okay, I'll try again. Yes, I do. And I realized 3 seconds is a long time.
Yeah.
Take about a second and a half to get the first sight. Then it's pow, 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 pow.
Yeah.
You could knock out a bunch of rounds, and they're all in a row. It's not like it's shooting different depths and whatever. So, but
I found for me personally, I do better when I don't concentrate. If I just shoot, just sight in, bang, I do way better.
So when I was a young private, right, I wear glasses. So the Army issues me glasses and I qualify in basic on my M16. And over the years, I'm getting the pistol and I'm qualifying my pistol, wearing my glasses. But as I aged, I started having with close distance. I got, nearsighted, whatever you call it, with bifocals.
Yeah.
Then now I got bifocals, and I got, if I wear my regular glasses to shoot, I look up, I can see the target, but my sights are fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like this, my sights are nice and clear, but now the target's fuzzy.
Yeah.
So I just do the long sights, and the target's clear, but my sights are fuzzy, and I just shoot like that. And one day I went to shoot, and I shot very well.
Uh-huh.
All right. I don't know if I hit expert or, whatever one below expert is. But I noticed the lens had fallen out of my inserts on my ballistic eyewear. So I
No kidding.
glasses. So everything's fuzzy, and I just aimed kind of center mass of fuzzy. And I do better.
Wow.
Than my glasses.
Yeah, that's good.
So when you said that, it reminded me of that,
Yeah, they say I've always heard, don't overthink it. If you overthink it, then yes, you still have to know what to do and stuff like that, but just don't overthink it, and you'll be fine.
I put enough rounds where it's instinctive. But I went, on one of the primo down when you're qualifying down at Bliss or whatever, Hood. We had to qualify on our weapon. They stopped doing that. But this one major was like 40 out of 40 with the pistol. And he's an SF guy, and it's rounds down range. You just do it so much.
Yeah.
It becomes instinctive,
That's impressive.
Yeah. And actually I taught my kids to shoot, and my daughter's a great shot, and she doesn't shoot that off. We went shooting recently. It's been like 2 years since we shot, and she was still kicking butt with her pistol.
So, really? Nice.
Yeah, so I taught her well. So anyway, I developed after, all of these different things that happen, especially the finger event. I had a great reputation with my command, my battalion and stuff. Well, here's a story I forgot before I tell this one. There was this chief. She was a motor officer or something, and she didn't want to deploy, but they kept saying, you're too important to us. And so they made her go. All right. And it's going, you're going, no excuses. And she didn't want to go, and she made it clear she didn't want to go. I don't know the background of that, but it was clear she didn't want to go. So she happened to blow out her Achilles tendon playing basketball.
Yeah.
Now, it turns out, of all the things you can do to your body, if you blow out your Achilles, your choices are have surgery to repair it. My brother had surgery. Or do absolutely nothing. And the tendon will regrow, reattach itself, heal itself untreated. It's the only body that I know does that. But that's an option, is that you can just let it be. It doesn't need surgery, because if she gets surgery, she's going home.
Yeah.
And she's getting her wish. Or we can put her in a cast. I got an orthopedic PA with me. We can cast her. We can take her out of the cast, switch it, give it a chance to heal. But now she's going to be on crutches. All right. But there's a lot of gravel. And so this is not going to work with her around here. She's going to fall. She's going to hurt something, stuff like that. And so I'm talking to the battalion commander, and I'm like, well, you own this soldier. All right. If you were a private company, for-profit company, and she is one of your key employees, and she gets hurt, all right, what would you do to keep her in theater?
Hmm.
All right. What would you, if she's that important, what would you do so she would stay in theater? If you were a civilian company, what
Yeah.
would you do? Well, you know, gave her a personal assistant and a gator.
Uh-huh.
But after a week, his efforts failed, however it failed. And a week later, we're like, nope, she's got to go.
Hmm.
But that
Okay.
concept of, you own the soldier, you have the mission. You can destroy your soldier to get the mission accomplished. We send people into firefights,
Yeah.
clear that building that's critical to the mission, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Run these supplies right through the enemy lines, whatever. We send people on all kinds of missions that hurt them.
Right.
And, if the mission's more important, then, I talked about it with, if you have that Hummer in garrison and you send it without any oil to go to Burger King to get lunch, that sucks. You send it on the battlefield with no oil to make supplies, who cares? So
Yeah.
we're in that situation. Is it worth it to you? But you got to make the effort, Commander. You have to make sure she is spoiled while she recovers. We'll manage her medically. But if you can't create the environment where she is safe and not going to get further injured, then okay. But if you can't, she goes. And he tried, he couldn't, it didn't work. So we sent her home a week later.
Hmm.
It
was probably for the best.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, the tendon's going to heal. I actually had that with the veteran, some old goofy guy that blew his Achilles stepping off a curve.
Oh, geez.
And walked around like that for a while, went into his primary care doctor and got referred to us. And I'm seeing him 2 weeks after the referral, but this is now 3 months after the injury because he delayed going in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, let's have you stand on one foot. Now do a heel raise. And he did a heel raise, and you can't do that without an Achilles tendon. So I'm like, oh, you healed?
Wow.
There's nothing for me to do. You healed. I don't know how.
That's wild. I didn't know it would do that.
So yeah, I didn't know that either. I found out, but it's one of those things. But so anyway, so I've got all these different things. I got a great relationship with Command, and every week they had Latin dance classes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
like, well, at least I go listen to the music. I'll get some rhythm from back home. Living in Idaho, we have Mexican music and Tex-Mex music. We don't have the Caribbean Latin salsa, merengue, bachata, all that stuff that Carlos knows very well. He still dances amazing like me. I'm a stiff about dancing, but I'll go and I'll have the classes and I'll do my little thing, right? But I go, it's after PT. So I went and I did PT and I showered and I get in, I wear my clean PTs to bed. So I'm in my clean PTs. I go there in the evening. I have my pistol belt on. I take the pistol belt off, set it down, and I do my thing, and I leave. And the next morning, I'm getting dressed in uniform, and I grab for my pistol belt, and I'm like,
oh, no.
Where's my pistol? Okay. So I run to where it was, and that building is locked. So I go around the corner to the office, and those guys unlock the building for me. So I look around, and it's not there. So the rule is, if you can find it within 5 minutes of misplacing it, you're good. After that, you have to form your first line chain of command. So I have to go to the company commander and say, hey, this is what happened. I don't have my weapon. So I went to the MPs. Anybody report a missing weapon, whatever. And no. All right. I went and found one of the instructors from that night. And it's like, yeah, we have your weapon. The other guy has it, but was on night shift, so he's sleeping right now. He can bring it by later. And I'm like, no. He has my weapon. Thank you. I don't know why we didn't go to the clinic that's open 24 hours a day and they could have got it right to me.
Yeah.
a deal. 'Cause
Wow.
right back to the command, and within about 30 minutes, I had my weapon,
Mhm.
and I didn't get in trouble.
Nice.
And I teach this, you have what's called money in the bank. So all the good things you do, put money in the bank. So when something screws up, there's a
Yeah.
great tolerance for it. But if if I lost that weapon right at the beginning, they might have sent me home. But this was late in the reputation. All these things I had done by then, I had a great reputation, so no problem. But they gave me an RCOM on the way home because of my stuff. But makes me after losing my weapon. So I'm going home, and at this point, I had told you I had been selected for 06.
Mm-hmm.
I had turned in my PT scorecard. My unit told me everything's done. We're just waiting for the orders to publish. It needs to be signed off. So I'm like, well, if it needs to be signed off, that means it's the general. Do you need my battalion commander to call the general and remind him? Right? It's like, no, leave it be, leave it be. So, all right. So every day I'm checking email. Where's my orders? Where's my order promoted?
Right.
No, I'm an 05 promotable. So I get to Kia, the Kuwait. No, there was it. No, I get to Bagram, and Bagram says, we're probably skipping a step, but yeah, there was a step. Went to a local airport, and they flew me to Bagram, but the flight was delayed, and so we got on the afternoon flight, not the morning flight, and we get to Bagram, and it's a first come first serve system. VIPs, so every day they go, okay, we have so many flights going to Kuwait. Now I'm there on a Monday. The Kuwait flight home to the States leaves on Saturday.
Okay.
So I just got to get to Kuwait by Friday so I can get on the manifest for the Saturday flight.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there Monday, and it's like everybody signed up. Okay. Are there any 06s, E9s, or GS15s? Nope. Okay, we have 12 seats, and we're going to call names in order, and they call the names as people signed up, and boom, plane is full. We'll see you tomorrow. So I come back tomorrow. Same. There any 06s? Just 15s. Tuesday, same thing. Wednesday, same thing.
Oh man.
Thursday, same thing.
Oh geez.
And they're like, we got 8 seats, and they start calling names, and then they're like, we have 1 seat left. They call a name, no response. They call it again, no response. They call the next name, DeLeon, here, I'm here. I get the last seat on this plane on a Thursday, so I get there by Friday, and I sign up for the flight on Saturday. Everything's good.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're going to fly home, your show time on Saturday morning is 0200. You got to bring all your bags with you. So you're doing another duffel bag drag. And then they do a roll call, and at 6 o'clock, they move you toward the flight. Okay. So 0200, we're standing there, all the bags and stuff. We're standing in formation, and they start calling names. DeLeon, yes, I'm here. They call a name. No response. They call a name again. No response. They says, oh, he's in East. He's 06. He's a colonel. We'll send a gator at 5:30 to pick him up. I'm like, oh, man.
So close. So close.
At the board of the plane, and they're like, are there any colonels and sergeant majors? You go sit up here in first class. The rest of you go coach. So I'm a coach.
Oh, my God.
we land. I check my email. I was promoted 2 days ago.
Oh no.
The next morning I got my colonel rank on,
Yeah.
and they're looking at me and saying, "Weren't you a lieutenant colonel yesterday?" I was like, "Yes, I was." Not today.
That's awesome. Oh my God. Man.
So the
So
next,
close.
yeah, so close. So I go home. Life is good, and I have this opportunity to work at the Warrior Transition Unit. I think I might have mentioned this before, where guys come home, go out in reserves, we in processing to Salt Lake, and then send them home to their community. So I pick up this shipment, and I'm supposed to be there 3 months, but I extend for 6 months. So because I felt like after being there a little bit, it takes me a little bit to figure out the job, and I could do more if I'm there more 6 months, and I could start developing systems and figure things out and stuff. So let's see. So being an engineer in my youth, the engineers have a backwards planning process. So if you're doing a road, what's the last step of that road? And what has to be done immediately before that step? And you work backwards, and then you can plan based on that when things have to happen.
Right.
So I started looking at our intake process, which was kind of like you have like 4 stations, and you just grab soldiers as you done with the last one. You just grab one, and the soldiers just sitting there in the room waiting for somebody to grab them. You got to see everybody. So I started thinking, well, they can't see the nurses till they see me, because I have to determine what their profile is and what consults they need for what medical issues. So they have to see the nurse after me. And they have to, so I developed this process. So I would brief them in the beginning about what the whole purpose of the program is and how they can benefit. And then they would go and see, like there was like a round robin, and we would just get them all processed in one day and very efficiently. It was like and we could round robin, and the only thing that had to happen was they saw the nurse after me. But they could start with me, they could start with the platoon sergeant, they could start with whoever, but they had to see the nurse after me. So that was the only thing in the system, but we created a round robin, and it worked very efficiently. Made the soldiers happier because they didn't feel like they were sitting around wasting time. Like they got a sense of the system and stuff. And then during this, there was a chance to go to DC for like this, all the WTUs bringing their senior providers or organizers, commanders, whatever, and kind of do an overview of the program, and also talk about like caregiver support.
Okay.
If somebody's permanently disabled, they can get paid care. They can get paid money to pay a caregiver. The caregiver can be their spouse.
Yeah.
So, we can get that going. And while we're there, I asked the general that was briefing us, I said, suppose somebody has back surgery, and for the next 2-3 weeks, they need a caregiver. There's no way around that. But in 3 weeks, they're going to be better enough they can do it for themselves. Can we do this program for 2 weeks or 3 weeks? He's like, yeah. I was like, cool.
Wow. Okay.
All right. And the other thing was, if you ever saw that movie, Battleship.
Yeah.
Stupid movie, bad acting, but there was one person in there that was a great actor, and you'll remember him. He was a bilateral amputee black guy, big shoulders, rough guy who was angry and pissed. And then he went hand to hand with that alien. Busted out of tooth. Well, that guy is a lieutenant colonel, field artillery. He lost his legs, I believe, in Iraq. And there is a thing that if you want, he does not meet retention standards.
Right.
You need legs. He doesn't have them. But you can petition the Army, the other services as well. I want to stay, even though I have no legs. It is not critical to my job.
Right.
I'm not kicking indoors. So they can make an exception and keep you in the military. And so he stayed in. He's a lieutenant colonel. Awesome guy. What you saw on screen was a real soldier talking. When he looked at one wimpy science guy and is like, do you feel me? Do you feel me? The coward suddenly had courage. So, watch that movie. Look for that colonel. He's amazing. I will. Spoke to him briefly, whatever, and was just so impressed. And I saw him in the movie, and I was like, "Yeah, I know that guy. He's awesome. He's a real soldier. He's not pretending like everybody else in the movie. He's the real thing." And he was the best actor in it because he wasn't acting.
Yeah. He was just being him.
So, so this unit has a certain capacity, so we can only see so many soldiers in a given time. Actually, that happened in 12, so that happened during this one. Yeah, that one happened during that. So, it's Lieutenant Gregory D. Gadsden. That's the name of the colonel.
Okay.
Right. So nothing else happened in that. The other two stories actually happened in the next time I went there. So, no, I know why I put it in there. So then I left there and I went back to Afghanistan. And I went to Eggers, and I was one at one of those little stations in 2011. So I went in 9. Now I'm back in 11. And I had this NCO who was a medic running our pharmacy that was a very athletic, ego-driven guy. But he was an athletic trainer in civilian life. So I turned him into the aid station physical therapist.
Okay.
So I took advantage of his ego and his personal trainer experience and said, okay, I'm going to see a soldier. I do sports medicine. I'm going to diagnose this. I'm going to hand him to you, and you get him doing these exercises. So it was a way to deal with his ego, but he was very effective at it.
Yeah.
He wasn't kidding. He knew his stuff.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
So, and then I had a captain who was our aid station OIC, the platoon leader, and he was from the Pacific Islands.
Okay.
He was about 5'8", I would say 170 pounds of solid muscle. He was a combatives competition guy. And I was like, aren't you, it's another one of those, aren't you kind of small for your people? Yeah. But I did a lot of one-on-one combatives training with him. So he taught me a bunch of stuff I used to, and because again, living in the gym. But the interesting thing is this time I live in the gym. Remember in 2009, I got asthma. I mean, I had that pneumonia. In 2010, I'm doing my PT test. And I'm working out, no problem. But the first mile I'm doing in just over 6 minutes. Just over 6 minutes, so really flying in great shape. But the second mile, the asthma kicks in, and it's like the first time ever. And suddenly I'm running 8 minutes my second mile. I'm just like running out of gas and running 14. Still a great run, but it's like I should have run 13 or sub 13.
Right.
But that's when I started noticing the asthma, but I could work out with no problem. I get to Afghanistan and suddenly I'm going in the gym and I can't get a workout in. I just can't run.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. I can do other things. I can do the rest of my things, but I couldn't run. And then I get home and I went back to the Warrior Transition Unit and I would go out and run and I would use some albuterol inhaler and run, and I would just get all kinds of snotty and coughing and run out of gas very quickly. So they tested me. They sent me to an allergist. They tested me. I don't have allergies. He tested quickly in the office. My lung function looked great, but I'm describing it to him, and he's like, well, take 5 puffs of your albuterol over 30 minutes before you work out. I was like, okay. Now, don't take it right before you work out. Give it time to work. And then I come back to him like, hey, doc, I'm out of shape, but I'm not out of breath. I'm good. Life is good.
Well, that's weird. Like, what is it that, I mean, you take it 5 times, before you work out, like 30 minutes before or whatever. What does that do for it?
It just gets more in the lungs and gives it time for the lungs to really relax.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I am confusing. So before I got to him, all right, I was saying I'm back with this program, back in the Warrior Transition. I came back from Afghanistan. Like I said, I couldn't work out, and I go to the Warrior Transition Unit again, and I'm serving their senior doc. And we have the capacity of like 140 soldiers we can manage, because the NCOs have to call them every week. What are you doing? Whatever. The nurses have to track their medical appointments and make sure everything's getting paid, and then getting the information to me. So there's a limit to the amount of work a person can do in a day, tracking all these people.
Right.
And then every quarter we bring them in for a muster and get eyes on them and personally review their programs. So, but we were running about 180, not 140. And then we got up to 200 and we just had to say, we can't handle any more. So we need to get something out of our system. And one of the things that was holding us up was the med board. Because I could, within 6 months, say, with continued care, you're going to be good to go. It may take 3 or 4 more months, but you're going to be good to go. All right. You're going to finish recovering from your surgery, finish your physical therapy, and 3 or 4 months, we're going to discharge you back to your unit, back to your leg. Or, nope, we've hit that point of maximal improvement. No matter how much more surgery care you get, you're never going to meet Army standards. I can start a medical board on you now, and I can submit it, except I don't do the medical board. Now they're waiting on Madigan to do the medical board, and Madigan's backed up over a year. We're just sitting in our program waiting for the medical board. They're still getting care and everything else, but they're just waiting.
Right.
So we were overwhelmed, and so we closed. And while we were closed for a few weeks, I was like, okay, I'm bored because we're not taking soldiers in, and this is not nothing. And I quickly found another EFMB down in Texas. Thanks for field medical badge. I want to try it again. I tried it when I was in my 20s. I failed on CPR. This time I'm going to do it. And so I got everything done really quick. I got approval from the command, and I went there permissive TDY. So I paid my own way. I had to bring my gear with me, everything I needed, and pro mask, and they would assign me a weapon.
Okay.
All right. So I go there. I go through the training week, validation week. Everything's good. I go through the testing week. Everything. I'm knocking out all my points on land nav, pass a test, doing very well on all of the stations,
Hmm.
and get to the last the last day of testing was day land nav. I had already done night land nav. I was doing day land nav. Got a little confused on one of my points. Went back and found a benchmark because the benchmark is on the map. This is the exact where you're standing. I don't care how the road has moved over time, the benchmark never moves. And from the
Right.
benchmark, I can find my point. So I found all my points, but I did a lot of running around, and it was hot in Texas, and I got dehydrated, and I'm like, Maddie, can I get an IV? I passed that day, and I'm like done, and I'm like, can I get an IV? And we're like, no, we only have 2 bags. What do you mean you only have 2 bags of IVs? They're for crash emergencies. We start an IV. I'm like, you only got 2. How could you only have 2 bags of IVs? So I'm just
Wow.
plugging water and soda and the DFAC afterwards, but I'm still running low on power. The next day is the ruck
Mhm.
march.
Right.
And it's a 12-mile out and back, or 6-mile out and back, so 12 miles. And I make it to the turnaround point just under an hour and a half.
Okay.
So it's like, get on your horses because, you're going to run out of time. So I'm going back and I'm jogging and walking, jogging and walking, jogging and
Hmm.
walking. I would pick a light pole and say, okay, to the next light pole, I'm going to jog. I'm going to walk one. Then I'm going to jog one. I'm just going to keep pushing myself. And I get about a quarter mile out. The platoon sergeant who's over our platoon, they're not going through it. He's like, yeah, go, girl, go, go. And he's jogging alongside of me, and
Hmm.
I see the finish line. But we start on gravel.
Yeah.
And I'm walking fast. And he's like, come on, airborne shuffle, airborne shuffle. Come on, let's finish up airborne shuffle. And I'm running out of time. So I start trying to airborne shuffle, and I trip on the rocks
Oh no.
with like 100 meters to go. And so now I'm like, okay, get up, get up, get up. So I'm trying to get up, and my legs are done. I'm in
Oh
muscle
no.
failure, hypoxic. The asthma's kicked in. I'm hypoxic. I'm in muscle failure. I'm trying to
Right.
get up. I'm using my weapon to kind of brace me up, and I try to get my legs underneath me, and they give out, and I fall on my back. Now I'm a turtle. So now I'm trying to. And this happened to me like 4 or 5 times. And,
Right.
and they just watched me because if I could get up and cross that finish line, I'd have
Then it's
earned
still a
the
pass. Yeah.
but I couldn't, and time ran out. And
Oh no.
I was dehydrated, muscle failure, asthma. Took a little bit to
Mhm.
stabilize me in terms of just getting the fluids on board and getting the muscle failure washed out and everything else. So I failed at the 11.9-mile mark.
Oh, and it's so horrible. You see the finish line; it's right there.
I was just out of it. So um, spent a few days in the hospital getting hydrated, getting my kidneys washed out.
Hmm.
Everything's good. I go back, and I'm like, man, I was this close to getting it. All right. So, but I'm back in the warrior transition. And, you know, when I went there this first time, there was this major who was in the program, and I left, went to Afghanistan, came back, and she's still there. And she's kind of in this limbo land. And she was a pain in everybody's ass. I mean,
Now, was she a patient or was she working there?
she was a patient,
Patient. Okay.
but her care was done. But like, you're supposed to do something on your when you're not at your medical appointment, something for the army.
Hmm.
Well, she was having somebody falsify that she was actually showing up. Meanwhile, she was selling Mary Kay on the side.
What?
She wasn't doing
Oh
anything
my.
for the army, so we had to pull her in, and she had to physically report to us every day.
Oh my gosh.
And like, do tedious work or whatever.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't trust her at home because she was taking to advantage and she was delaying everything. So finally, I sat down with her and said, okay, let's go over your issues.
Mm-hmm.
What is your first issue? Okay, let's look through your medical records. Can we prove it? Yes. Does it meet standards? No. Okay, we write that down. We have the evidence. What is your second concern? Do we have any medical evidence? No. Can we get any medical evidence? No. All right. What's your third complaint? Oh, you're complaining of this. Do we have medical evidence? Does it meet retention standards? Yes, it does. Okay.
Mm.
I just went one by one, every one of her complaints. I was like, have we addressed every issue? So I had her sign a memo because I was like, don't sign it if we haven't addressed it. If there's something missing, I want to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we still need medical appointments, let's knock them out.
Right.
But I got to the point where I was like, okay, we have addressed everything. I put it all in a memo. She signed it. Yes, we've addressed everything. I signed it. We submitted it. That became what they call like if you have a decision and you appeal your decision, got to go through an appeals process. So mine acted like the appeals process. And she agreed with everything I wrote down. So she accepted the appeal.
Oh, yeah.
So now she could be discharged, medically retired. She had over 20 years of service. All right. She got a pension, she got her VA disability, whatever, but we got her out of our system and stopped paying her active duty pay for doing nothing, just delaying everything she could so she could milk it as long as she can. So we got her out. That was one of my successes there. They gave me a meritorious service medal for that one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, for my whole time putting it together.
Yeah.
They said for all your times here, because the second time I was there like 10, 11 months, and the first time was 6 months. So they said for building the programs, for getting, she was actually a bullet point on my award thing.
Oh, really?
Very politically, but it was a bullet point on my meritorious service medal.
That's funny.
And the last thing was the Army gave me free weekends and no adult supervision. Not a smart thing. Because if you've never been around Salt Lake and driving up and down I-15, there's a hill they call the Widowmaker.
Okay.
And it's where everybody goes to hang glide and paraglide.
Ooh, okay.
Winds just whip up that hill. You've got great winds in the area. And so I was bored. So I was like, I always wanted to hang glide. I see them doing it. So I found somebody, instructor. I took like 4 weeks of classes, learning all the ground stuff, learning the aircraft, doing a short flight, and then doing my first solo flight off the mountain.
Right.
Down, did my Superman. It was amazing. Landed. Life was good. The next week I was going to do my second flight. And you hang from the wings. You are a pendulum. Your body weight is what steers the aircraft. So there's a triangular frame you're holding on to. If you push your weight to the left, the aircraft's going to tilt and turn left. You push it to the right, it's going to tilt and turn right.
Right.
You push it forward, it's going to climb and stall. So you got to be careful that. And if you pull it in, you're going to dive and speed. So the 4 basic commands of it. So I did it first. And the first time I did it, the triangle, I'm holding onto the sidebars and I'm just pulling it into my hip, pushing it away, pulling it in, no big deal. The second time you're grabbing the crossbars and you've got to push your body over. And if you don't push your butt over, you're just going to spin your body and you're never going to do anything. So I take off, air hits, I get an immediate bank. I'm turning right. And
Okay.
got a little radio receiver on my ear that's saying, turn left, turn left. And I'm like, yes, I know. I'm trying to turn left. But I'm cross controlling. So I'm spinning my body, not pushing my butt over. So
Oh, I see. Okay.
weight over to stabilize the aircraft. So I'm just making this big, long, slow U-turn right back to the mountain. And I broke my forearm wrist right there. I got surgery scar.
Oh, geez.
Doesn't show up right there. I got a surgery
Wow.
scar. So that's the Army's fault because they did not give me adult supervision, did not tell me I could do this.
Nice.
So now I got a broken arm. I'm trying to load the motorcycle into the trailer so I can drive back to Fort Carson and then drive home. But I
Yeah.
can't clutch. So I got my buddies trying to help me load the motorcycle into the back of the trailer so I can go home with my broken arm.
Oh, man.
20, 2012, my son graduates from high school and he doesn't want to go to BSU. I'm not going to BSU. I'm not. I want to go to UW.
Okay.
All right. So he's going to go to University of Washington, be a Husky. Well, because I did that extra 10 months, 11 months in the Warrior Transition Unit, I got my full 3 years of deployments.
Oh, nice.
So I've earned full 9/11 GI Bill.
Mm-hmm.
I have the full thing. And the GI Bill has a caveat. All right. You can actually hand it to your kids, not split it up, whatever. But it is limited to the most expensive public school in-state tuition rates. So if you're Washington is a public school, but we're out of state. Now, some schools, Yellow Ribbon program, will say, hey, don't worry about it. We'll cover the difference. All right. A private school, we're way more expensive than the public school, but don't worry about it. We'll cover the difference. Some students love military. UW does not. Liaison that'll help you take the GI Bill and get themselves paid, but they will not discount for out-of-state students.
Oh, man.
The difference is $18,000 a year.
Whew. Wow.
But if you or your family members are a member of the Washington National Guard, you get in-state tuition rates. So I transferred to the Washington National Guard.
Smart. Yeah.
So I could get in-state tuition rates for my son. And I told Washington when I was coming over, I'm a line guy. I've been living in the line my entire career. I grew up as a medic. I've been living on the line. That's all I know is line medicine. They're like, but you're a flight surgeon. Yes, but I don't practice flight medicine. I'm a line guy. They attach me to an aviation unit. Every month trying to do flight physicals, I'm knocking on everybody's door. How do you do this again? How do you do this? Where do I order this? And the other providers are getting annoyed with me. And they're like, are you good at the annual readiness exams? I'm like, yo, I got that down. I know readiness.
Yeah.
And so I became the soldier readiness program expert.
Okay.
I won that program, and it was the best they'd ever seen because I'm like, I know soldier readiness. I know AR 40-501 and 502 inside out. The Army's regulations on readiness and profiling. I know the book because I've been doing that for a long time. I know profiling. I know readiness. I ran that because I sucked at flight physicals. And I told them, send me back to flight school. If you want me to send me back to flight school, because now it's even computerized. And back in my day, it was papers. And I haven't done this since the 90s.
Right.
And we're 2012. And that's what I also heard about the guy that they dragged out of bed with like 2 weeks notice because some doc from Texas didn't show up for the deployment. Remember that story?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that was me. And let me tell you what happened. Yeah, that makes sense. But we've been cursing you for a decade.
That's funny.
And then, we do our annual training and we're doing the PT, and I just get in line. Well, it turns out I got in the enlisted line, not the dedicated officer line over here. And the company first sergeant noticed, and she was like, "You're my favorite officer because you're doing it with the troops. You don't feel special." I'm like, I just do a PT test. And here's a stupid story. They, every unit has a big American flag in the gym, in the drill hall, whatever. Well, they got a brand new one, a massive one like you see outside of Camping World. They always have.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This one was made in China, and I'm looking up at it, I'm going, wait, the stars are wrong. They did the star pattern in the wrong way.
No kidding.
It was made in China, so they had this massive thing, and so they had to order a new flag. Very embarrassing for whoever got it.
Yeah.
We got the wrong flag. But 2 years into going to UW, my son was having issues, and so he decided to move back to Boise and go to BSU.
Okay.
All right. He did well his first year, was struggling his second year, and decided he'd move back to Boise. So I didn't need to be in the Washington Guard, so I transferred back to Idaho.
Okay.
All right. I finished out my career there, and then I was able to get finish out with second 116th. But when I got back in 2014, went back to the medical company and where I'd been. And then we went to NTC in 2015. First time they had gone since like 1990. So they hadn't gone there. Guard units classically don't go. But they had as a brigade, they had a decent tour in 2005. So, and somebody just decided to put them on the rotation for, and they had another decent tour in 2010, 11, New Dawn, where they just went there to turn off the lights. And that's when I was in Afghanistan and doing the warrior transition units. So we went to NTC in 2015. I'm back at the medical company. They've had me before. They know how I like things. We went right back to what I was doing, and we go to NTC, and best medical company they've ever seen. Wow. I know what we're doing. And just before we went in the spring, we went to the field to do a training exercise before NTC. Kind of like get the cobwebs out, test some things. And I had this brand new PFC, Private Hudson. She was in her late 30s. I think might have been 40 years old.
Wow.
She got wavered or whatever. But I told her, your job is you can't lose anybody. All right. They show up to our company. You have to know what happens to them. All right. So the command is like, where's my soldier? And you go, well, he came here and we evac him to that place. So you can go looking for him there. Or we returned to duty. We sent him with this unit to get back to you. Okay. Go ask them. Or he's sitting on our ward here. Whatever it is, you have to know what happens to every soldier. But nothing you're doing is more important than what I'm doing. So don't get in my way. Don't you ever get in my way.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, this colonel is yelling at me. I'm just a new private. I've never done this before. And she's got nobody else. She's it.
Okay.
she figured out how to do it. I gave her a little bit of guidance, said it's better for you to sit at the exit of my tent than the entrance, because
Okay.
everybody that comes here is gonna go through my front door and leave out my back door. If they're
Yeah.
leaving out the back door, either they're getting RTD'd, they're getting admitted to the ward, or they're getting evac, or I'm sending them to X-ray, and
Uh-huh.
then they'll come back around the front door with their X-rays, or
Right.
or they're getting sent to lab, and they're going to come back around to my front door. My
Okay.
tent is a one-way tent. So she positioned herself at the end, figured out how to track everybody, and whatever she did, she was never in my way. Then we get to NTC, and whatever she figured out was the best they had ever seen.
Okay.
The very first try, she was amazing. It got to the point where the OCs were asking her where all the patients were, who went where, but she got it down. And then we were doing so well in the battle that the 4-star from Washington, the commanding general of the National Guard, came to NTC.
Uh-huh.
And, he came to the medical company, and it's like, where's this soldier I'm hearing so much about? And we all point to Private Hudson
Yeah.
in Houston, Private Houston. And she gets her first coin is a 4-star commanding general of the
Nice.
National Guard.
That's awesome.
And so she was amazing. The funny story about her is, they only have one latrine style. They have signs for male and female, but they only build one kind of building. And so there's a row of this long trough with the water spigot on top.
Okay.
Right? And she goes into the female and she sees this, and they had like the bathroom on one side and the showers on the other side. So you had to go around to go to the shower or something like that, so it was disjointed. So she goes in and she goes to the long trough and she just turns on the water, brushes her teeth, gets done. And then we tell her, that's a urinal.
No.
Yeah, when you're just using the water at the top, it's clean water. It's not like
Yeah.
But it was only used by the female, so none of them were peeing in the trough.
Right.
So well, she heard that story for a little while, but she's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, that's that could have been pretty bad.
She had to hear about that story, but she made E6 or E7 last time I saw.
Oh, nice.
She's an amazing soldier. And she was working down at one of the local hospitals, and somebody bumped into her, and they were thinking about joining the military, and or they had just joined, and then the guy mentioned my name, and she was just raving about how nice I was and how great I was, even had to figure out. But that was years after. I mean, she just
yeah.
The other thing was, now that I was a colonel, I started going to all of these promotion boards in Fort Knox.
Okay.
So you need for lieutenant to captain, that's kind of a local thing. For captain through lieutenant colonel, it goes to Fort Knox.
Okay.
So and they want people of the same kind of specialty. So if you have, I guess, armor engineers, artillery, they would have a board together and promote those officers and whatever. So you would need officers of those branches. So we were an AMED board, medical. So we were promoting docs, PAs, nurses, medical service corps.
Okay.
And dentists and medevac aviators.
Okay.
Medical service corps medevac aviators are medical service corps. They're just a sub branch of them.
Oh,
like you can be a nurse, but if you're a anesthesia nurse, you're a sub branch under nursing. So
Okay.
I volunteer for one of these boards, and it's top secret. So that I'm leaving for somewhere, the unit knows I'm leaving. They
Okay.
don't know anything about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, but I'll be back in a few weeks. That's all they know.
Okay.
My civilian job knows I'm leaving for some Army top secret mission for a couple of weeks. I'll be back in a few weeks. And
Interesting. Okay.
everything about the board has to be secret because they don't want anybody influencing me before I go.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get back, I can't say a thing about what I just did until after the board results are published.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that whole thing, you have less than 2 minutes to evaluate a file. That's true.
Yeah.
You got 2 minutes or less per file, and you're doing thousands of files. And I
That's got to
said,
be tough.
yeah, it's just kind of, you get your own system and you kind of learn to
Mm-hmm.
what's important to you.
Right.
And the way you're giving them every officer, you're giving me a grade like, A, B, C, D, but you're also doing A plus, A minus, B plus, B minus.
Oh, I see.
But it's a number system, 6, 5,
Mm-hmm.
4. 3 means you're eligible for promotion. 6 means you walk on water. 2 means you're not eligible. 1 means the Army should have fired you a long time ago. I don't know why I'm looking at your file. So if
Right.
any one officer puts a 1 on something, we all have to relook at it and decide whether we should fire them or not. And then there's also
Does that happen very often?
it happens every board that somebody pops up like that because
No
somebody
kidding.
saw something they didn't like.
Yeah.
For
Huh.
example, I'll use this example I thought was stupid. I think it was a major looking at lieutenant colonel when they were a lieutenant got in trouble and got reprimanded.
Mm-hmm.
And that reprimand is in their file forever. So we have to look at any negatives. We can't stick in the folder. So somebody saw that a lieutenant got in trouble. It was actually the after AT. They had a picnic while they were still like the Saturday when they were done. They had a picnic and there was beer, and the lieutenant bought beer for the unit to celebrate the end of AT. And somebody found out that the officer was drinking with the enlisted and there was beer involved and did a reprimand.
Right.
But the person is now a major.
So they've recovered.
I don't care what they did as a lieutenant. All right. If they did as a captain, maybe, but then you still promoted him to major. If this was a problem, you should have got rid of him a long time ago.
Right.
So I don't care. But somebody, it bothered them and they gave him a 1, which meant we all had to look at the file.
Right.
So we all look at the file and decide thumbs up, thumb down, stay, go, stay, go. And if the majority of us go thumbs down, then they need to get a lawyer and fight for their career. If the majority says thumbs up, they get put back in the pile.
Okay. That's interesting.
All right. And there's also the retention board, which is you're a major, you got passed over, you're not getting promoted to lieutenant colonel, you got passed over twice, you're not getting promoted. But now you're at 16 years. Do we keep you so you can get your 20? Or do we kick you out now at 16, 17 years of service?
Yeah, that's tough.
And
that would be bad.
The philosophy is we need majors. Majors are staff officers.
Mm-hmm.
They're not good enough to be battalion commander, but they can serve as a staff officer. Is there a reason why we shouldn't let them stay and get their 20? They've put in their time. They've had their company command. Let them finish out and get the 20 and go home.
Yeah.
So that's one of the decisions we have to make. So you're going through a lot. And so there's a lot of nuts and bolts, but I got to do this a bunch of times over the years now that I was a colonel. I did 3 or 4 boards. Then I would go to these states, like Maryland was looking at their junior officers, and wanted advice on career development. So we would look at their files and make recommendations. So like this one guy, he was a first lieutenant and he did the OCS program. He was like a cadre in the OCS program, and he did well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year, he was still a cadre in the OCS program, did well. And the next year, he was still a cadre. I'm like, dude, you need another job. You can't stay. I don't know how well you're doing it. You can't stay in the. You need broadening assignments. You know, you need to have time on battalion staff as an assistant S1 or S3. You need to be on brigade staff as a S2, as a captain. You know, you need to get these things because they develop you for your command assignments, because now you understand how the staff works. Right. And joint assignments, so you understand how the other branches work. You need these things, and you need to be looking for those opportunities. So, you know, giving people advice, you know, those kind of boards. I did a couple, one up in Vermont, one in Maryland, the two that I can think of, and multiple promotion boards. And the best thing is when you get done and the list comes out and you can say, hey, Bishop, what happened with the board? You got promoted? You're a major now? Congratulations. By the way, for 4 months, I've been holding this secret. I knew you were going to be promoted.
That's funny.
So promoting several people. I remember this one captain down in Texas when I was with the Texas Guard. That guy was better than me in everything. He was amazing. He was a junior to me. He was new. I have all this experience, but he was just had just had it. He just, like, everything clicked so quickly for him. And I was so proud the day I promoted him to lieutenant colonel. I was and when and this was, Texas was back in 2002, 3, and 4, and now it's like 2016. And when the list came out, and once the list is out, then I can say something. I was going through my phone trying to find his number to call him and tell him I was honored to promote him.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, it was just amazing. I keep telling the other colonels, you got to go do these boards. You got to learn. Yeah. If nothing else, you learn how to write an OER and you learn how to develop your junior officers. You know, so then in 2019, I got the opportunity to go to Iraq with the Arizona Guard, and this was a 6-month tour, so not the typical 3 months. So as I showed up, the guy I was replacing, we're in primary care positions. We're TMC docs, but he happened to be a general surgeon. But again, we're doing primary care, head, colds, and ankle sprain. Doesn't matter, he's general surgeon. But we had attached to us a surgical team, and they're waiting for all those traumas on the battlefield, because we're 45 minutes closer to Baghdad if you're coming out of Syria. So all those special ops guys going to Syria come to us in Al-Assad and then go on to a thing. And there was a GI bleed one night, and he was on call, and he's like, I'm a surgeon. I know how to handle GI bleed. Did the transfusions, did all the management. And the surgeons came in the morning and was like, well, that's GI bleed. That's a surgical problem. Why didn't you call us? He's like, because I'm a surgeon, I know how to handle it. And and then I show up, and they're like, you're a colonel. Can you find a way to make peace between these two teams? And that's when I told both teams, and I might have told you this before, what is the criteria at 2 a.m. when the medic gets a call on the radio or sees somebody roll in, that they should call the surgical team first and the medical team second? And the surgeons brought in their criteria when they want to be called first. The medical team brought in the criteria when they should call surgeon first. And I went, oh, look, they're exactly the same. So now we have our standards and no more ego. So it solved the problem. I made friends with both teams and stuff because I'm a nice guy. You know, we were part of this problem was driven by the nurse anesthetist on their team. He was a Navy commander in 05.
Okay.
And the senior medical officer for the medical team was in 04. Now, I'm not the senior doc. I just happen to be a colonel and a doc.
Right.
And I'm making friends on both sides, but I'm dealing with this guy, this this commander, this 05, and trying to get his ego out of the way.
Right.
So we're having this video call with Baghdad, with Med Command.
Okay.
And
that's the biggest command there.
Yeah, that's the big Med Command. So they're over all the medical and theater.
Okay.
And that year, October 1 was the transition date for the new OCPs. They brought back the BDUs, the camouflage. Before that, had the OCPs, the digital uniforms, the gray ones with the little dots and squares.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, this has got a wear out date of 30 September, so I'm going to wear it. And I got my new uniforms, but why am I going to dirty my new uniforms when I can wear out these, which I'm going to throw away anyway?
Right.
Well, I'm in the back on this video call, and the next day, the first sergeant saying, the sergeant major saw you in that uniform, and he is pissed, and he ripped me a new one. Do you have OCPs? And I'm like, yes, I do. She says, can you please wear it? I'm like, but this had a wear out date of 30 September. We're still in September. He's like, no, please don't give me a headache. All right, I'll change uniforms. And like the next day, Ed Command shows up, the sergeant major and the colonel. The colonel sees me, grabs me, gets a handshake, pulls me in. It's like, Doc, man, so great to see you. And I'm like, okay. And it took me a full minute to click. He was my platoon leader back at Fort Campbell in 1994.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
Now he's a full bird colonel, Colonel Nelson, and he's the med commander.
That is awesome.
He was the best platoon leader I ever worked with in all my years.
Yeah.
His dad at the time was like, worked on the general staff, was like a deputy commander or something or other for the base. So his dad was a big shot colonel. He was a young lieutenant, and he made his own way. He was a superstar as a lieutenant. And he was there when I had that company commander, Dave, that was the medevac pilot and was really good tactically. So he really developed his lieutenants. And this guy was just a natural leader. And now I'm seeing him again. And so, man, it was so exciting to run into him eons later.
That's cool.
If
it's nice how things come full circle like that.
The Army's small, the world is small and the Army's smaller.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can. Oh, here's one. Let's see if you can see that. That is me crossing the EFMB line. All right. And that I did in whatever. So let me see. I'll get to that story in a moment. But I finally got my EFMB. I think I told you that. Or I got lost in the woods from my phone is acting idiot. I can't find his thing, but I got to
remember that.
Coins and stuff. So he was an amazing guy. That was a great tour. I told you about I took up doing puzzles for no reason whatsoever, and I became the Chew City puzzle master, and I made friends with Estonians and did Man Love Thursday doing the spa over there with the sauna and stuff. There was when they had the insurgencies and stuff in Iraq, this local sheikh was aligned with the Americans helping them.
Okay.
So he got hit by an IED, blew off his one of his legs.
Okay.
He got evac'd in the American system and got surgeries and everything and a new prosthetic leg.
Okay.
So he really loves the Americans.
Yeah.
Now he's running this town and he's helping the ops guys, but his socket is however many years old and it's cracking.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And the rules have changed, and we can't just send him to Germany, which is where he would get a new socket.
Okay.
So myself and the orthopedic surgeon went with the ops team and went out to see him, and we patched and reinforced his sockets so that it fit well and he was happy. So, the ops guys could then continue to work with him and stuff. So that was another good story there. Oh, we're celebrating Halloween, and I order a Deadpool outfit. And I ordered 2 swords, 2 plastic swords that got held up in customs and thrown away because they were weapons.
Are you serious?
So
that's funny.
A Deadpool outfit without swords in the back.
Oh, man.
Plastic swords. They give me a 9mm to shoot with, and they're worried about a plastic sword.
Yeah. That's too funny.
But we did have some a couple of surgical cases with them. We did after we took out Al Baghdadi in Syria, they retaliated and shot one of our interpreters. So he gets evac to us. All right. He's intubated. The ops team, the special forces medic intubated him, sedated him. He's got a gunshot wound to the belly. The bullet came in from his right side of his belly. On his left thigh, the special forces medic made a big circle and wrote "crunchy" on his left thigh.
Okay.
The surgical team jumps on his belly. I jump on his legs. So I'm grabbing his left thigh and I'm like, is it broken? Because a broken femur can kill you. You can bleed enough into your thigh to kill you. But his leg looks like it's straight. So I'm checking it. No, it's stable. But if I touch the skin over it, yes, it's crunchy. The skin feels crunchy. The muscle feels crunchy. But his leg, and he reacts a little when I press on his toes, and he's got a pulse and stuff. So that leg seems okay. Well, the bullet went in, nicked his bladder, so his bladder exploded. It ricocheted and went down into his thigh, and it brought air with it. So all the crackles is air.
That was air. Oh, wow.
So he has a little snap, crackly pop because he's got air pockets in there. And, they opened them up, dealt with the bladder, closed them up. Everything's good. The bullet, we just leave it there. Later in life,
it's in his leg.
Later in life, if it bugs him, he can go have it taken out. But right now to take it out, or even in the short term to take it out, you got to do a lot of muscle trauma to get to it. Where it might not bother him. People have shrapnel in their bodies that isn't actively bothering them, so you just live with it. Trying to remember, it was the same guy. It might have been the same guy, but he was still intubated, sedated. So he gets to Baghdad, and they're waking him up.
Okay.
And as they're waking him up, they're checking his pupils. And the one pupil reacts normally, but the other pupil doesn't.
Okay.
So they're thinking, oh my God, we got a brain injury or something. So they're CAT scanning his head to see if he has a missed brain injury. And it's not uncommon when you've got trauma and somebody's out of it that they might have other injuries you miss.
Yeah.
That's not uncommon. Right. And we don't have CAT scan at our company. So he's in Baghdad with the CAT scan, and it turns out it's a prosthetic eye. He has a prosthetic eye from a prior IED.
No kidding. Wow. Okay.
The prosthetic was so good, it looked like a real eye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense. That's why I wasn't responding. Yeah.
So, so coming back from Iraq, the other thing there was when I went through Kuwait on the way home, my nephew happened to be stationed in Kuwait. So I got to say hi to my nephew. He was in the Air Force. He's still in the Air Force Reserves. Yeah. He was the smartest guy about the GI Bill. He did his active duty time, didn't get married, didn't buy a car, saved all his money. And he's a culinary guy. So he's going to a special culinary school up in New England that takes the GI, that takes the yellow ribbon. So his school is free, even though it's more expensive than the GI Bill pays. Everything's free. He's getting his culinary degree and his health degree. He's a fitness guru guy, you know.
Okay. Very cool.
I actually spoke at his military graduation because he graduated in Fort Lee, Virginia. And so my dad and I, his grandfather, went down to the graduation, and I'm in a Harley shirt with a goatee. But I tell them, if I show up, you got to let them know a colonel's here. So they found out I was there, and they're like, do you want to be the guest speaker? And I'm like, okay. The snowbird colonel's talking at my nephew's graduation with the Harley shirt and a goatee. And he did services. So services is like everything that support. They feed you, they house you, they entertain you. So MWR, the gym.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Mortuary affairs. There's like 6 things. It's 5 of them that they do. And I've dealt with all of them in my career.
Yeah.
So, it was just funny that I got to speak at them. So I didn't visit him in Minot, North Dakota. He was there, but I got to see him in Kuwait on the way home.
Yeah.
So I got home from that tour.
Hey, real quick, we're at the 2-hour mark right now. So
I'm about 15 minutes from being done or less.
15 minutes?
Or less.
Okay. We'll go ahead and go.
So on the way home, I'm like setting up this Qatar tour in 2020 because they have like scuba diving in Qatar, safari in Qatar, all the stuff in Qatar. And I get home, and then the Qatar, I go to Qatar, but the world ends with COVID. So all my MWR plans were canceled. And I'm stuck on this base in Qatar, and we're just doing site security. So our unit is doing the Iowa unit, infantry, doing site security. I'm just doing the TMC stuff for our soldiers. And when I got there, I had to do all the COVID quarantine, but because I was a colonel, I was a VIP. So they put me in an apartment in the barracks by myself.
Nice.
For 2 weeks, and the only visitor I got was when the medic brought me my breakfast and my dinner. Human contact for 10 minutes a day.
Nice.
So 2 weeks I'm sitting there going, why am I a VIP? Everybody else is in some hangar building with 2 people to a room, and they check temps and stuff and see if anybody catches COVID.
And they can have conversations with people because there's 2 to a room. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was not, and you couldn't hang out in a group larger than 6 of the immediate people that you work with and everything. You maybe hang out up to 6, but otherwise you couldn't hang out. You had to sit opposite, and the DFAC, the gym was closed, MWR was closed, so we had a significant mental health issue. And I'm talking to the mental health provider about the stress that the soldiers are undergoing, and she's like, yeah, these kids first deployment, and they got no way to de-stress.
Yeah.
And so I'm beating on the command. You got to open up the gym. You have to. Soldiers need something to do. The only thing you can do is walk around the base, the dust trail around the base. That was it for like jogging. You couldn't do it in groups. You had to do it individual. So I beat up the command, and on the day after they opened up the gym, which I had to make an appointment, they opened up the pool, but only one person per lane. And they opened up MWR, but it closes at 5 o'clock when everybody's getting off of work. And the day after I left, they allowed them to have a beer a day.
Oh my word.
And then I get home, I retire from the VA, I get picked up for the state COVID mission. I worked with the nations on the east of Idaho, a combined Army Air Force thing. And I, basically I told the docs there, what is it that this COVID problem is keeping you from doing your daily job? And they said overseeing the screening, because they would pay the natives to come in and get swabbed. And if every week you could come in and get swabbed, and they would give you a gift card to the convenience store, whatever that they have on the reservation. And so they would come in, and I would just watch and call the positives and negatives. When I had a positive, I would call it into the social workers, who would then track the families and make sure they had services, because now they can't leave their home, but you have to bring them food and stuff. So I did that. And then I had started doing a movie night with pizzas for the soldiers, so they would, and the airmen, so they wouldn't go stir crazy. And then I came home, and then my last thing was my unit got mobilized to go to Kuwait to be the QRF for theater. So if anything happens in theater, we're already there with this a 6-company, force. Armor, or 5-company. We had 2 armor, mech infantry, and then 2 straight infantry out of South Carolina. And then a medical company out of Ohio. It was supposed to be a brigade task force, but we were a battalion plus task force, and I was a task force surgeon. And our job was, if something goes bad and serious, something, we're already there. You got forces, you can move. But the Ohio company had issues with any oversight, and bumped heads, and it became a crisis issue. And I ended up getting screwed over and getting stuck at Fort Bliss until I could get home and then retire. So luckily, nothing happened for my unit while they were there, but the unit that replaced them got some action.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah. So my career ended on a but
it happens.
My guys, I wanted to end my career with my guys at 42 years. I took them in and served with them in 2005. Now I'm bringing them home in 2022. But we were an amazing battalion. In 2019, we went to NTC, and we were like the best aid station ever kind of deal. And I was developing a good blood program and stuff so that we could support our guys the way the ops guys support their guys. I was using the ops guys model because we were going to be more independent. So I was using their model for us, which should be Army standard, Army-wide. The Army's always kind of slow on these things.
Yeah. That happens too. Yeah.
But I got to come home, retire, and start spending the money.
That's right.
So 5 parts to my story, or as I do to the little kids, 5 parts, because they think
nice.
So my 5-part story, and over 10 hours to tell. So
it's fantastic. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you suffered through it with me.
I didn't suffer. I was having a good time.
Now tell people to change their socks. Hurry up. Get to it.
No. Well, hold on. Now, have we done the questions?
Yes, we did it after part 2.
We did. Oh, okay. All right. Very well then. We won't do that then. All right. Well, thanks again, man. Thanks for coming on and doing this. Awesome story. I had a blast. So hopefully you enjoyed yourself. If you know anybody else, send them our way, man. Have them come on
I
and tell
keep
their
putting
stories
it out
too.
there, Lost Art Project. I tell people, look it up, tell your story. Look it up, tell your story. Every chance I get.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. All right. Well, to everybody out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some good resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. Doc Hassan cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with, ask them how they're doing. And if they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right. One last time. Thanks for coming on and doing this. Much appreciated. And to everybody out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
Your socks.
No more 22. On to the journey and finish the fight.